بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Welcome to the last session, our seminar for today, which is all about Zakkah for Muslims in the US. One of the common mistakes that some people have is that they think that the establishment or the date of the establishment of your business is your hawl. So if you started, for example, in 17th of Al-Muharram of 1428, then you should wait until 17th of Al-Muharram of 1429, which is wrong. Whenever you accumulate a nisab or a threshold, which is the equivalent of 3 US ounces of gold, then this is your nisab. Whether you work as a businessman or you do not have any sort of business, it does not make any difference. That's why Zakkah year or al-hawl starts once you reach the minimum threshold or nisab. Now, some people actually prefer to pay their Zakkah in the month of Ramadan to get the blessing and the barakah of donating money and paying Zakkah in the month of Ramadan. What if your hawl is before Ramadan and you want to just shift it ahead to make it Ramadan? Is there any way to shift or to change, the beginning and the end of your hawl or the Zakkah due date? Yes, you can, but you cannot delay your Zakkah. Let me give you an example. If you already started your business by the beginning of Jumad al-Thaniya, Muharram, Safar, Rabi' Awwal, Rabi' al-Thani, Jumad al-Ula, Jumad al-Thani. Okay, how many months for Ramadan we have? Rajab, Sha'ban, and Ramadan. You have 3 more months, to pay your Zakkah in the month of Ramadan. Now, if you want to change your Zakkah due date, that's fine. For this year, in the month of Jumada al-Thaniya, okay, which is the Zakkah due date, you pay your Zakkah in full, and you pay 3 more months, roughly speaking, 3 more months in advance. So next year, in Jumada al-Thaniya, do you have to pay your Zakkah at that time? Do you have to? You don't have to, because you already paid 3 more months in advance. So in this way, actually, you shifted your hawl to the beginning of the month of Ramadan without compromising, without actually delaying your payment. Now, the wrong scenario is to say, okay, my Zakkah due date is in Jumada al-Thaniya, I'm not going to pay it now, I'm going to delay my payment until the beginning of Ramadan. By the beginning of Ramadan, I will pay for the whole year plus 3 months. It does not work like this. We need to know that Zakkah, again, is a formal act of worship. You cannot pay Salat al-Dhuhr before the zenith time. And when it is Dhuhr time, when it is noon, you have to do Salat al-Dhuhr. When the Zakkah due date is due, you have to pay it. You cannot delay it for no legitimate reason. And if you want to get the barakah of paying in the month of Ramadan, that's fine. You need to pay in advance, not to delay your payment. So adjusting the Zakkah due date is acceptable as long as you do not delay your Zakkah intentionally. Now, delay in paying Zakkah is prohibited unless there is a legitimate reason. What do you mean by legitimate reason? What if your Zakkah money is ready, but you found out that there are no eligible recipients around you? It might happen. Believe it or not, it might happen. You could not find, poor people around you to pay your Zakkah. It might take you maybe a few days, sometimes a few weeks, until you deposit the money or give it to Life or to give it to Islamic Relief or to send it overseas if you choose to send it overseas in order for this money to be given to the needy people. So if there is a legitimate excuse for delaying your payment, that's fine, but do not do it intentionally. Again, because it is a formal act of worship. Once it is due, then you have to pay it. You cannot delay Salat al-Asr. Once it is due, then you have to do it. And Zakat al-Mal actually is like a salah exactly. Okay, what if someone, out of his negligence and carelessness, he just designated the Zakah money and he put it aside and he forgot about it. Okay, after 1 or 2 weeks, he remembered and he wanted to pay his Zakah, and he found out that the money that he put aside had been gone, stolen, destroyed, whatever. Does he have to pay his Zakah one more time? Yes, he has to, because actually it is his shortcoming, it is his mistake. Why he put the money aside? Why he did not try his best to pay his Zakah right away? However, it's not the case if he did not, if his delay was not intentional. If the money have been gone without any negligence or carelessness from his side, does he have to pay the zakah one more time? He does not have to. So it depends, whether or not he did his best to pay his zakah on time. If the zakah due is lost because of some reasons beyond one's control, it was not his negligence or his shortcoming or carelessness, however the money, gone in a way or another, he doesn't have to pay zakat al-mal one more time. Can he pay his zakah? Yes, he can. But does he have to? He does not have to. Also, prepayment of zakah is permissible. Prepayment actually is not to do a monthly payment, no. It's to pay in full in advance. Like to pay the zakah of 1430, which is this year, 2 years ago. That's fine. You can just estimate it. And once the zakah is due, you have to do the exact and the most accurate calculation. You do, you see the inventory and the money, and you do your all calculation and find out exactly how much you have. If you already paid what you're supposed to pay, then you are even, you are break even. Otherwise, you need to adjust your payment. If you already paid 2 years ago more than what you're supposed to pay, for this year, then you can deduct whatever, you paid extra from the zakah of the next year. If you already paid less, then you have to pay more until you make sure that you paid exactly, the exact amount of your zakah. Unpaid zakah for the past year is to be paid as soon as possible, and no one has the authority to waive it. Some people actually, they stay for years and years without paying their zakah. Not because they do not know, because they do not care. And then after a while, after years and years, they just declare a sincere repentance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They want to just fix everything every mistake that they did in the past. Now, are they allowed to, not to pay their zakah, or they still have to pay their zakah? They have to pay their zakah. And again, no one has the authority actually to waive the zakah payment from anyone. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained. However, the fact that he or she repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not mean that he has to pay the whole amount in full for the last 10 years. If he can do it, that's fine. If he cannot, he can make arrangement, he can make a payment plan, whatever he can do, just to show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he is so sincere in actually fixing his mistakes in the past, and he is willing to pay whatever he owes as zakah. Also, death does not relieve one from paying his zakah. It has to be deducted from his estate before the legal heirs take his share. This is only in one case: if he passed away after the zakah due date. If his zakah due date, if his hawl is in Ramadan and he passed away today, do they have to take a zakah from his estate? They do not have to, because the zakah is not due yet. However, if he passed in Ramadan, for example, and his hawl was in Ramadan, but he did not pay, then they have to deduct it from his estate, from his wealth, first of all, before they distribute, the rest on his legal heirs according to the Islamic inheritance law. Zakah has to be paid in the same value, but does not have to be in the same kind of wealth. If you have cattle, you don't have to pay your zakah. You don't have to pay it as a sheep or a cow or crops. You can just convert the value of whatever you have to pay into cash money and give it to the needy people or the zakat recipients, if you believe that having cash money is more practical and more beneficial for the needy people. If your crops, for example, or agricultural products or honey, the zakah that you have to pay, for example, 500, you don't have to pay it via honey itself. You can just pay $500, and that will be fine. This is what we mean by that it does not have to be in the same kind of wealth. You can convert it to whatever is more beneficial for the needy people. Zakah on crops, then the sum may be converted to money and be paid. Okay, proper intention prior to the payment. What does it mean? If you already lended your Muslim brother $5,000 2 years ago, and you found out that your zakah for this year is 5,000, and you find out too that your Muslim brother that you gave him the money is badly in need for this money, can you tell him, okay, whatever I gave you 2 years ago is my zakah for this year? Does it work like this? It does not. Because actually the intention has to be before the action. You have to have the intention before. And 2 years ago when you gave him the money, your intention was not to pay your zakah. So he has to give you the money back. And then if you decide to give him the money back one more time as your zakah, that will be fine. You cannot go in the day of Eid to Walmart or to Sam's Club and buy a already slaughtered, sheep and refrigerate and say, okay, this is my udhiyah in Eid al-Adha. It does not work. You have to have an intention before you slaughter your sacrificial animal or your udhiyah. So an-niyyatu mutaqaddimatun ala al-ibadah. You have to have a pre-intention. You do not pay and then you said, okay, whatever I paid is my zakah. It does not work. Why? Again, it's a formal act of worship. Ibadatun tawqifiyya. We have to, be aware of that. So proper intention, proper assessment. Make sure that you pay a minimum of your zakah. If your zakah is 500 and you paid 499, this is not enough. You have to make sure that you pay a minimum of 500. If you want to increase it and pay more than 500, that's fine. And definitely you will be rewarded for that. But do not go beyond the zakah. You have to pay your zakah. Again, it's a formal act of worship. If Salat al-Asr is 4, you cannot make it 3. If your zakah for this year is 500, you cannot make it 499.99. It has to be a minimum of 500. You can increase, but you cannot decrease. Proper recipients. Assuring that zakah is transferred to the eligible recipients. You need to do a sort of homework. Do not give your money to anybody. If you do not trust Islamic Relief or Life or any other charitable organization, do not give them your money. Before you give the money to anyone, you have to make sure that he or she is a zakah recipient. What if you did your homework, you investigated, okay, and you found out that he deserved the money, and you gave him the money, and then after a while you found out that you were mistaken? Do you have to pay your zakah one more time? You don't have to, because actually, لا يكلف الله نفسا وسعها. You did your best, and you found out later on that you gave your money to the wrong person. However, if you did not do your homework and you just gave your zakah to the first person who asked for it, and then you found out that he is not an eligible recipient, then you have to pay your zakah one more time, because it is your default, it's your shortcoming. So proper intention, proper assessment, proper recipients, transfer to the eligible. Authority to accept zakah. Who's in charge? Basically, taking care of the zakah issue, calculating, collecting, and distributing zakah is one of the main jobs of the Muslim state, of the Muslim government. It's unfortunate to say that even in the Muslim world, many of the quote-unquote regimes in the Muslim world, they do not even care about zakah. They care about tax, and they do their best, to suck our blood and get our money. But when it comes to zakah, they do not care. If you want to pay it, that's fine. If you don't want to pay your zakah, it's up to you. So if we do not have a Muslim government who are really in charge and can take care of this job efficiently, then we can go to the second option, which is trustworthy organization. Again, you have to make sure that people in charge in all these charitable organizations here in the US are trustworthy people. They fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They do their job professionally. They have a solid background on zakah issue and how to calculate and to whom should the zakah be paid and on and on. Then after that, or if you choose not to give them, definitely you don't have to. Even if we have a branch for Life or for Islamic Relief, you don't have to give them your zakah. Unless if the one who is asking for the zakah is the Muslim government, then you have to. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. All you who believe, obey Allah, obey His Prophet, and those who are in charge amongst you. So if the Muslim state is the one who is asking for your zakah, then you have no choice but to submit your zakah to them. Otherwise, you don't have to go with any of the charitable organizations. So the third option is the Muslim community. We can take care of our zakah. We can have a Zakkah committee like the brother here, Jazakallah khairan. He has been working in the Zakkah committee for 30 years, working on collecting Zakkah, calculating, helping people, calculating their Zakkah and distributing the Zakkah money to the eligible recipients. That's a perfect job. And we need to know, by the way, that taking care of Zakkah is a collective obligation. Fardu kifaya, what means that we have to make sure that someone in charge or someone is efficient enough and he's taking care of this job. We have to make sure in this community that every single person is paying his Zakkah. That's our job. This is the job of the Imam and the board members and the community themselves. We have to make sure that this pillar of Islam, is fulfilled, satisfactorily. So Muslim community, either a masjid or a school, and then after that individuals. Otherwise, you can take care of your Zakkah. You can calculate your Zakkah and pay it to the needy people if you choose not to give it to the Zakkah committee or to any of the charitable organizations. How about the requirements and the qualification should be met by the Zakkah collector? He has to be a Muslim. The matter of fact, he does not have to be a Muslim, by the way. But this is what some of the madhahib mention. He doesn't have to. As long as he knows exactly how to calculate Zakkah, he doesn't have to be a Muslim. As long as he works for the Muslim government and they trained him how to calculate Zakkah and how to collect it and how to distribute it, that will be fine. We do not have anything authenticated in the Sunnah showing that a Zakkah collector must be a Muslim. However, let's go with this approach. He has to be a Muslim, sane, adult, trustworthy, someone who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, efficient and capable. He does have a solid background in the Zakkah, fiqh, how to calculate, how to collect, how to distribute, does not accept, gifts or bribes, report and declare whatever he collects. If all these requirements are matched in one person, then he can work as a Zakkah collector. Zakkah payers have the right to restrict the use of their payment. If you give your Zakkah to Islamic Relief, okay, and put a condition or stipulation from the beginning that my Zakkah for this year has to be sent to the Bengali poor people. You send my Zakkah to Bangladesh. Do not send it to Iraq, do not send it to Palestine. It has to be, distributed all in Bangladesh. They have to abide with that. If they cannot for some reason, they have to go back to you and ask your permission to distribute your money to somebody else or in a different country. If they cannot, they have to give you your money back. This is actually according to the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As I said, if the trustee or the agent cannot, then they have to take your permission. Otherwise, they have to, give you your money back. Transporting Zakkah. If the one who is taking care of your Zakkah is the Muslim government, the Muslim state, do not worry about it. They know their job and they know who is the most, needy for your money, and they do have the right to transfer the money from one, country, from one city to another. It's their job. Now, if you give your Zakkah to an Islamic organization, again, it's your choice. If you want your money to be distributed within the US, it's your choice. If you choose to send it overseas, it's up to you. Now, which one of those two options is in a more compliance with the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ? Actually, it is to distribute it locally here. Because back to the hadith that I mentioned many times in this presentation, when the Prophet ﷺ was instructing Mu'adh radiallahu anhu, he said, فَأَعْلِمْهُمْ or Mu'adh, tell them, أن الله قد افترض عليهم زكاة, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obligated them to pay zakah, تؤخذ من أغنيائهم. It should be collected from their wealthy people. And he was talking about the people of Yemen. تؤخذ من أغنيائهم فترد في فقرائهم. And it should be redistributed for their poor people. So it should be taken from the wealthy and distributed to the needy people in the same community as much as we can. Because it doesn't make any sense. If some poor people around you know that you are wealthy enough and they are waiting for the month of Ramadan, and then once at a sudden you told them that, okay, my zakah have been transferred to Jordan or to Palestine or to Saudi Arabia, that's wrong. You injure their feeling. They are waiting for your sadaqah. They are waiting for your zakah. So you start with the people around you. Okay? If you are almost sure that there are no needy people around you, then you feel free to send it, wherever you want. Unless in some just, exceptional circumstance, if there is like a disaster or crisis, overseas, and you strongly believe that people abroad are in need for this money, badly more than people here in the US, once in a while you can send it overseas. Otherwise, you make sure that you distribute your sadaqah and your zakah locally and not internationally. Now this is just 3 slides showing you how to calculate your zakah. You go with the personal cash. You just fill out this application. Okay, total value of the stocks, and you go with the business category, and you subtract all the debts, and then you come up with the zakatable amount times 2.5%. This is your zakah. This is all what I have all about zakah for Muslims in the US. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاكم الله خير.
الله أكبر الله أكبر.
The Islamic Organization of North America, IONA, is an organization dedicated to reviving the Quran into the hearts of Muslims while bringing its message to non-Muslims. The obligations of a Muslim as ordained by the Quran and Sunnah can be understood as having 4 levels. 1. A Muslim is required to develop real faith and conviction, iman, in one's heart. 2. A Muslim is required to live a life of complete submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 3. A Muslim is required to propagate and disseminate the message of Islam to humanity as a whole. 4. A Muslim is required to try his utmost in establishing the just Islamic order. The first and foremost objective of establishing IONA is to assist the Muslims in North America to uphold and implement these obligations, first on themselves, their families, to inform their friends, and then to invite the non-Muslims to Islam. The ultimate goal is to seek Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure and salvation in the hereafter. For more information about IONA, please visit us at www.ionaonline.org. You may also email us at info@ionaonline.org or call our toll-free number 1-866-779-IONA. Join us. Together we can make a difference.